What is going on, people? How to optimize your training is a good question. There is many aspects and there's many things you can do to optimize your training. A lot of people out there nowadays, you're always looking for something quick. You're always looking for something new and you always want a lot of change, because sticking to something and implementing the fundamentals is boring and people don't like to hear that. They like to hear the new craze or how someone else did it, how I did it, how my client did it, how Sam's client did it, how Tony's client did it, how someone else's client did what they've done. They want to know how they've done it because then it could work for them. One thing I want to say at the start of this video is that something that works for me or works for my clients or works for anybody in the Fitness Works gyms or has worked for anybody on YouTube, 9 times out of 10 the exact blueprint will not work for you. You need to make your own subtle changes. The calories might not be right, the rep range might not be right, the carbohydrates might not be right, the food quantities might not be right. So you always need to fine tune any blueprint that anybody gives you. Whatever plan you buy online, you need to tune to your own style. Whatever nutrition plan you get given, you probably need to change around the foods which are going to work best for you, which are going to digest quickest, which the body's going to use quickest, really, or best, which isn't always easy and it isn't always quick. And these kind of things do take time, years and years. When I first started training, maybe 9 years ago now, it took me a good 4, 5, 6 years before I got on stage maybe. And then it took me a few weeks after that, then it took me a few years to do it again. And then I did it for a few years in a row and now I'm here. But there is a few things you can do. And there is a few changes you can make. And these changes are quite basic and you'll be like, why are you telling me this, Jack? It's easy. But people don't do the easy stuff because the easy peasy nitty gritty stuff is boring. But my 3 things which I believe will help everybody optimize their training. Especially if you only have a certain amount of time, a limited week, you need to get in and out of the gym and you need to focus on the recovery and the nutrition side of it when you're out of the gym. Just because you've done 3, 4, 5 hours of work in the gym does not mean that you're going to look like Arnie in 6 months. Does not mean you're going to look like a cover model in a week, and does not mean you're going to look like Kim Kardashian in 3. So first one, optimizing obviously just your training in general. Let's say your goal is to put on lean tissue, because that's what most people's goal is. They want to put on lean tissue, they want to get bigger, they want to look better, and they ask me, how do I put on lean tissue? It is bloody hard and it takes absolutely ages. It is a long game. You're in this for the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Muscle is so hard to put on. You need to find a training program which works for you. You need to use progressive overload. So what progressive overload is you use a little bit more weight each week, stress the muscle. You do train to failure. You do push yourself. You probably don't train to failure on every rep. You train to let me just clarify that. Because when people say it's train to failure, I don't mean train to failure and you're grinding out some horrible absolute stinger of a rep. I mean that you're in correct technique and you are repping properly. You are actually using the muscle you're meant to use. You're using the pecs when you're doing a bench press. You're not using your elbow or something, or you're not using your friggin' bicep to do a chest press. You're actually being a normal human being and using your chest to press. And then when you max out, you can record that and then you can do a back off set. So where you go, put the weight down a little bit and do a bit more, do a few more reps. That's called a back off set. So you can do one heavy set of 6 to 8 reps, then you can do another one of 12 to 15 reps. You've got your strength work in there, then you get a hypertrophy, and then you get towards your muscular endurance. But you've got hypertrophy and you've got strength work, you've got good technique, you've got progressive overload. Boom, that's what you need to do. Correct technique. One more thing about training, you need to make sure you're sticking to a program for a longer period of time than 6 days. You can't go wrong and do a push, pull, legs, rest, new split. Because I know that happens. Oh, I can't be asked that new split. Now I'm going to do a bicep, tricep, chest and calves day, hamstrings and abs day, and glutes and shins. I don't know, ludicrous stuff. So you need to make sure you're actually sticking to a program for a longer period of time. I would say 12 to 16 weeks. Obviously, rotate exercises, bring in smaller muscle groups, in different kind of drop sets maybe, different like modalities, training modalities. You've got drop sets, you've got back off sets, you've got giant sets, you've got loads of different sets and loads of different rep ranges you can do. So maybe bring those in, but stick to the kind of same split and same rest periods for longer than a couple of weeks. At least do maybe 6 to 8 to maybe 12 weeks. Then you'll see some decent results. Get a logbook, be constant, progressive overload, and you will get a lot better. It is a marathon, not a sprint. You're in this for a long game. If you want to do it in the short game, you'll probably get injured, you'll probably muck some stuff up, you'll probably get bored, and you'll probably just be chasing your tail, pissing in the wind for the next 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it's going to be. Number 2. Nutrition. If your goal is lean tissue, you need to be in a miniature surplus, not a gigantic surplus where you become an absolute flump and your body fat is 75% and your hormones are all over the place and you're not producing muscle at all. You're now becoming a female and you are growing man boobs and thick thighs and big hips and you just look terrible. It's most people that try and put weight on. Small surplus. And again, do not go crazy. Just because you see everybody on Instagram that's IIFYM nowadays, eating donuts, eating burgers, eating McDonald's, they don't do that all day, every day. Just because you're putting on weight does not mean you need to put on body fat. Just because your scales are going up does not mean you're putting on lean tissue. 9 times out of 10, if your scale is going up rapidly, it is more than likely to be body fat, water, and just a load of fluff that you're holding. Muscle is slow, it takes time, it takes patience. It takes a small surplus over a longer period of time, heavy weights, small surplus. I try and keep my protein 2 to 2.5 per kilogram. So currently at the moment, I'm on about 250 grams of protein, which is quite low. So sometimes I add in 50 more, take it up to 300 grams. I bring my carbohydrates down a bit and put my fats up a little bit because I want to try and drop a little bit of body fat over the next few months. But if your goal is to put on lean tissue, don't worry about your body fat percentage. Do worry about it, but you say you've got these are your perimeters. Shredded, okay. Stay about here, all right? Do not go flump mode, go okay mode. No flump, okay. Shredded, okay. Flump, stay okay. You're gonna build and you're gonna be in a better hormonal place here. Testosterone's gonna be ravenous. Your body's gonna be using the carbohydrates and proteins and fats the way it should do. It's not gonna be storing everything. You're not gonna feel sluggish, you're not gonna feel lethargic. You're not gonna feel like I just said, a flump. You're not gonna just be like a beached whale for the whole time you're putting on weight. You can't be asked to watch the car. You just can't be bothered to do anything. So just make sure your protein's 2.5 up maybe. And then carbohydrates medium-ish, focused around training. So I like to have all my simple carbohydrates around training, pre and post. Obviously I'm a bit different because I train early in the morning, so I kind of carb backload. So that is where I will have a carb meal post training. So I'll train fasted, I'll have a carb meal post training, I'll then have a smaller carb meal second, third and fourth are sometimes going to be just protein fat, so pro fat, and then my fifth meal, then my last meal at night time, which is obviously the carb backloaded, technically one-ish, is going to be lots of carbs, proteins and low fat. Then it gives me energy for when I wake up in the morning and I train fasted with BCAAs, so it's technically not fasted, with caffeine pre-workout. I then go on for my day at work. So nutrition, make sure your nutrition on point. If you're going to count any macro, I would count the protein. Make sure you're hitting your protein goals every day. Make sure you're hitting your calories every day, and then kind of fit your carbohydrates and fats in depending on how you perform on each macro. Some people prefer fat, some people prefer carbohydrate. It's your choice. Doesn't really matter. Again, we are all our own unique little thing. So don't kind of go based what your favorite fitness model says. Work it out, see how you're performing at work, see how you're performing in the gym, see how you're performing in life, and then adjust accordingly. Last but not least, recovery. Sleep, technically, sleep and recovery. So sleep is very overlooked. It's now becoming quite a focused on thing, because everyone's now got smartphones, Fitbits, MyFitnessPal. Oh, that's one for nutrition, MyFitnessPal. They've all got apps where you can track your sleep, so you actually know what you are now sleeping, what your sleeping patterns are like, and it's becoming a bit of a game, which is really cool, because sleep is a massive part of everything. Your recovery, you grow when you're sleeping like a baby. You're obviously resting, you're chilling out your CNS system, your brain, everything is just having a good time. So sleep is massive. If you're going to bed stressed and worried and you're not sleeping at all, you're getting 2-3 nights sleep, you're restless, your body is not going to be in a good place, your mind's not going to be a good place to put limb tissue on. You're going to be worried about other things, and you're not going to be thinking about your training, your nutrition, your recovery, your sleep. So get your mind in the right place. Whatever your goal is in the gym, it doesn't have to be putting on tissue, it could just be losing weight. It is 99% in here. If you're ready to change and you're ready to lose weight, you will lose weight. If you're stressed and focused on other aspects of your life, which is absolutely cool, it's understandable, some people are, then you're going to focus on that side of it rather than sorting out your health, your fitness and your lifestyle. They can then become two massive stresses which mount into one, and you fall off the wagon. You're better off dealing with one stress and just being sensible on this side, and then once this stress is reduced, you can then concentrate on this stress, which sometimes can be quite a big stress, especially if you're a female who's tried to lose weight for a long period of time and it doesn't seem to be getting easier. Whoa, come into focus. So sleep, recovery, rest, have your rest days, have your baths, have your recovery drinks, whatever it may be. Focus on recovery, focus on sleeping. I use an app called Sleep Cycle, which I track on my iPhone, which allows me to see how much deep sleep I've had, how much REM sleep I've had, how much kind of just general sleep hours. I usually hit 7 every night, which is cool for me. I only need 6 to 7. Some people are like, you have to sleep 8 to 9, otherwise you're going to die, you're going to not going to live as long, which is cool, but I unfortunately can't sleep that long. I'm lucky to get 6 or 7 hours, then I'm up to train, get to work, have a long day at work, come back, eat my dinner, go to bed. It's just the way my life works. So they're my 3 main things: correct training, correct nutrition, and the correct recovery. That is my 3 aspects to optimizing your training and optimizing your muscle growth potential. That's quite a brief overview. My answer to all of it is just nail the fundamentals, and those 3 are some of the best and biggest fundamentals that you need to nail, along with the correct technique, the correct lifts. Okay, please make sure you hit the thumbs up, and if this video has helped, please drop a comment below. If you're watching it and you're putting on your stories, make sure you tag me in it, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.